Hello and welcome back to Politically Incorrect. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight we have a wonderful panel of town leaders to talk primarily about Chelmsford issues. And with me tonight we have Al Thomas. How are you, Al?
Doing very well, thanks.
Good. And it's the fourth time on the show, Al, so we're getting up there.
Yeah,
And,
my pleasure.
And Al is a member of the school committee. How many years has it been now, Al?
Oh, this is my second year. I have one more in this term.
More? Oh, so you're
Next
planning
year.
to run again next year?
I don't know.
You haven't
We'll see.
decided?
No, it's early.
Yeah. And you're also a longtime town meeting representative,
Yes.
right, Al?
Yeah, from when they started.
1989, I believe
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, great. And you're also the former principal of the high school and a teacher
Right.
there before that, right?
Yes.
Great, wonderful. Any other committees or anything you want to mention?
Well, I'm involved right now. We're looking at the full-time kindergarten program.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've done the research on it. We did the survey, and more will be. In fact, we're going to talk about it tonight, I guess. So.
Oh, what?
It's pretty interesting.
Oh, tonight at the school committee
Yeah.
meeting? Oh, wonderful, yeah. How do you think that's going to go?
I don't know. The problem is space, number one, and then if we decide to go ahead with space, then we have to make decisions about how it might be financed. So.
Yeah, the finance might be quite a bit, right?
Yeah, well,
I guess.
the schools that we're going to look at, the districts, are very different. Some have new programs, some have established programs, some have tuition, some are free. So we haven't gone out to the schools yet.
Yeah.
But we are going to see the diverse kinds of schools and districts that we need to see.
Oh,
So that'll
wonderful.
be good.
Well, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Are you still involved in the Rotary Club, Al?
Yes, I'm pretty active in the Rotary
Are you-
Club. It's changed a lot because a lot of the original members, have gotten older and
Yeah.
are either not well or have passed on, and so we're kind of being revitalized with some really young and exciting people. So we've got a duck race coming up in May, so that's the thing we're going to be working on the next couple of months.
Oh, with those
You'll hear
rubber
more
ducks?
about it. Rubber
Or
ducks.
real ducks? Oh.
Rubber ducks.
I had real ducks when I was
Yeah.
young. Those were nice. Well, thanks a lot for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Al, we'll have a lot of fun in the show.
Sure.
And my good friend Kathy Duffett is with us. Again, how are you, Kathy?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Tom.
My pleasure, Kathy. And I know you're a town expert on everything that's going on.
Oh, I don't know
So
about
I had
that.
to invite you on the last show before the election.
I'm certainly opinionated, but I don't know if I'm an expert.
And Kathy, it's your 15th time on the show,
Wow,
1-5,
thank
so
you.
it's way up there. That's great. And Kathy had been a member of the Chelmsford School Committee for quite a while, right,
I was
Kathy?
on for 6 years.
6 years, that's
Was
great.
Chairman a couple of times.
Do you miss it?
Well, it's a great. Well, yes and no. It's a big obligation, but it's a very important job, and I enjoyed it very, very much.
Oh,
So,
wonderful, wonderful.
so I like watching in my pajamas, and I look forward to this discussion tonight because that's a very important topic. So.
Oh, great. About the all-day kindergarten?
Yeah,
Yes,
right. I
yeah.
think that's really important.
Yes. And you're also a longtime town meeting representative, as
Right.
Al is, right?
I think somewhere around 10 years,
Wonderful.
circling that mark.
And the precinct you're in is?
7
But you're not up, nor is Al up for
No.
re-election this
Right.
year.
next
And
year.
nor am I in precinct 9. So you're in precinct 7, former school committee member, current town meeting
Right.
representative.
Legal
We'll
women
talk about your
voters.
daughter later, who's a senior at Chelmsford High
She's
School.
a senior.
And we'll talk about her theater activities and
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
So any other committees you might want to mention?
The League of Women Voters, the Town Democratic Party, the usual suspects.
Well, I know you're co-host with me periodically in the Supporter Town
Yes,
Coffee.
we love that. That's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. We'll do another one sometime eventually. I think, and Charlie Wojtas also, I do them with him sometimes, and sometimes Donna Parlee. So that's our big triumvirate who do it with me. So thanks, Kathy,
You're
and thanks for being here.
Thank
And we
you.
have my friend Pat Maloney with us tonight. How are you, Pat?
I'm good, Tom. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here, Pat. It's your 7th time on the show. I call it the Mickey Mantle time because that was his number for the New York Yankees.
7's my lucky number as well.
All right, all right. And Pat, as everyone knows, is a candidate for Selectman this year, one of 5 candidates. And I'll explain a little bit later on how you ended up at this show just 1 week before the election, because people may be wondering, why do you have Pat on just before the election and not everybody else? And I'll explain that
Yeah, we can
in a
explain
minute.
that tonight, yeah.
And any other committee? Oh, I know you used to be the chairman. Now maybe you're the co-chairman of the Permanent Building Committee.
Yeah, co-chairman of the Permanent Building Committee. I share that honor with David Duane, who's a great out-of-the-box thinker. Yeah, previous committees were the Fire DPW Study Committee, Chelmsford School Building Committee, Secondary School Building Committee, and amongst a whole bunch of other little projects mixed in there. So
Yeah. Do you like all those committee meetings? Or was it all right?
Yeah, well, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't say that, you know, some of the meetings haven't come without tense moments.
Yeah, I could imagine.
As any meetings in
Oh, as any
town.
meeting, yeah.
You know, because we have a very diverse set of opinions in town, which is a good thing. So I can't say they've all been perfectly pleasant, but no, we love doing what we do, and we feel like we've done a whole lot for the town, and you know, it's really about instilling faith back in the town that things can get done, and there's a group of people that don't mind going and doing it and making sure that it gets done right and done on time and on budget and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So
If you get elected, Pat, are you going to stay on the permanent building committee, or could
I
you
would
do
plan
that?
to stay on that committee. Could be, you know, permanently, but at least until the fire station is done. I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving before the completion of that. So we're targeting completion of that for August 2014, right around there. So, you know,
Well,
it could be
show
a year
some-
and a half. So.
About a year and a half, great.
Yeah.
And we'll show some drawings of the proposed fire station, or the
Yeah,
one that's
great.
approved, later on in the show. We'll talk a little bit about it. You sent me the slides with 3 nice drawings of it, renderings. Also, speaking of drawings, you have a company right here in Chelmsford that you own, right? Relative to construction,
I do.
construction
I
management.
own a company called Architectural Environments. We've been in business a little over, 23 years this month we've been in business. So we've been at it a long time. We specialize in life sciences. So we build pharmaceutical plants. We do laboratories and clean rooms and things like that. So a lot of our work's in Cambridge and Boston.
Oh,
and,
yeah. You
for
build
all
laboratories
the
and clean
yeah,
rooms.
you know,
Wow.
we work for all the biogens and genzymes and Sanofi's of the world that you might hear, you know, in local news. But yeah,
wonderful.
so it's been a good niche for us over the years.
Did
and
the
it's
recession of 2008 affect you
I
very
think the
much?
recession of 2008, you know, got to everybody,
Yeah.
us included, and you know, we had some pretty good downturns, but you know, this year we're starting to get back to prior levels to 2008. So we see things turning around. The economy seems to be moving in the right direction. I think we can all see it in our 401ks finally. So let's hope it keeps going that way. But I do believe that the economy is turning around, and
Yes.
I think you know, that should position the town to take advantage of some good opportunities going forward. So.
Right. Well, speaking of good opportunities, we'll see about the opportunity for selectmen this year. We'll talk
One
a
week
little
to go.
about right after the introductions. I guess we'll start talking about the elections and yours in particular.
Sure.
But first, we'll introduce my good friend Charlie Wojtas. How are you, Charlie?
I'm just fine, Tom. I'm always fine here. It's always relaxing and fun.
Yeah, because now you're so used to it, right? Your 19th time. You have 4 more than Kathy.
How did I
So
get on 19
competitive.
times?
I think you twisted my arm, didn't you? My arm is killing me. Oh my God. Yeah, one more, and you're going to tie your sister Pat Wojtas, a select woman.
That's all right. I don't need a
Selectman.
tie.
Well,
Let her win.
but actually, we have one scheduled, Charlie, in case you
Oh,
forgot.
that's right.
The post-election analysis show, Charlie was scheduled for quite a while on that. So if things go
So we're
okay.
going to talk about you, Pat.
Yeah, we'll talk
okay.
about you on the
Well,
next show.
I'll lose him.
Don't
Whatever.
forget to tune in. It's always 1 week after the election. We have a post-election analysis show. And we have all people who have held townwide office before. We have Sam Chase, John Kurland, Pam Armstrong, and Charlie Wojtas this
There you
year.
go.
So we have a great panel, and it should be a lot of fun. So anybody interested in what we thought of the
Yeah, what
election,
we
you can
think,
check with
all
us.
right.
It's just our thoughts, yes.
It's always
yeah.
a very interesting show. It is
Yeah.
really.
In fact, you were on it 1 or 2 times, weren't you, the post-election?
Maybe.
I think maybe because you held townwide office. And so, yeah, so Charlie, also you're running in a new precinct this year
Brand
for
new
town
precinct.
meeting
I just moved to
representative.
South Chelmsford.
In precinct
Went out of
ni-
precinct 2 and into precinct 9.
Yeah.
There's 9 people, I believe, running in precinct 9.
Yes, 9
So,
people for 6
you
seats.
know, see what happens.
Yes, yeah, so that's one reason you're on the show, because you're a candidate this
Right.
year.
I need the votes.
Yep. And also, you have been on the planning board for what, 9 or 10 years?
I was
or
there
something?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah,
Boy,
and-
everything's 9.
And it went great. Now you're on the agricultural commission
Yeah,
here in
about
Chelmsford.
4 years.
4 years
Yeah.
there. And you
So,
also,
it's
people don't know
interesting.
this, but you do a lot of volunteer work for the Paul Center, the Chelmsford Historical Society, because Charlie basically has a construction company and he has big backhoes and he puts sewer lines in, and he would actually volunteer his time and his equipment to put in a free sewer line, or his free effort for the Paul Center. Isn't that nice?
that's
Most people
awesome.
don't know that.
It really is.
And then you see him like on the tree lighting ceremony, he's out there with his big truck giving the people free rides.
That's a tractor, Tom.
The tractor,
Not a
okay, not a, yeah. But Charlie does a lot for town. In fact, that's why many of you have been selected Chelmsford Citizens of the Year before. I know
Yeah,
we'll
I
get Al
remember.
soon, but the other three, Pat, Charlie, and Kathy, have been Citizens of the Year that we selected on this
It was
show.
09.
Yeah, and every year I read the previous winners of that particular award, so, but Al, we're gonna get you soon.
Oh, it's not a problem.
No, I know you don't care.
Well, it would be nice, but I've certainly been recognized enough.
Oh, I
don't-
know, I know. In fact, you just got, didn't you get a big award about the Rotary or something, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of years I've gotten
Yeah,
stuff from the
nice.
Rotary.
Yeah.
They appreciate work.
Yeah, they do. And in fact, Len Doolin from the Rotary
Yeah,
just
Len.
got a big award from the Red Cross.
Yes.
He's helped them gather so many pints of blood over maybe
Right.
18 years
Well,
or
the
20
personal attention that he puts in,
Yeah.
he's developed a relationship with every blood donor that's
Yes.
around,
I know.
and he
Yes.
and he calls and he sends notes and everything,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's
and I've
why
gotten
we
them.
get good turnouts.
Right.
He's
It is why.
disappointed if we don't go over.
Right.
100,
That's why,
so.
yeah,
Right.
he does so well. He used to send them to me until I had my little heart issue, and then I
Sure.
can't donate anymore. But up until that time, I was going every time because I had to get personal postcard
Right.
from Len Doolin. He hadn't written, Tom,
Right,
we got to
haven't
see
seen
you
in
there.
exactly 6 weeks.
Yeah, right. So maybe if we could start with Pat Maloney and ask Pat why you've decided to run for selectman this year.
Well, Tom, I've been helping the town out for a long time now. Probably, I mean, we were just talking about I was on your show for the first time in 2001, so I was involved for a couple of years before that. So, you know, coming on 14, 15 years, I've been trying to help the town. The first project that I got involved with was the secondary schools project, and I was, you know, my kids were young, and like a lot of parents, that's, you know, I was worried about the kids going through school, so I was paying attention, and they were out trying to propose a $100 million project, and I went, oh boy, you know, I'm in the business, and I had seen a couple of projects prior in town, you know, go back to the well for additional funding, and I thought, boy, you could get in some serious trouble on a $100 million project if you got to go back to the well. So that's when I started to kind of pay more and more attention and asked if I could get involved, and, you know, started talking to people, and little by little, you know, we got appointed to the secondary school building committee and worked through that, and the rest is kind of history. But I've been involved working with the town on all the various projects, from the $31 million school project, which at the time, and Kathy would remember that they had just gone into a moratorium. Chelmsford voted after the moratorium was in place,
Right.
and we decided to go it alone with no state reimbursement. But over the 3 to 4 years that we did the project, we kept hounding the Mass School Building Authority and saying, hey, we're lining up our project with your goals and directives as you develop them. And as it turned out, it was a great situation for us. We brought $16.8 million back to the town out of $31 million. We were named the model school program for the Massachusetts School Building Authority because we were innovative in our use of existing buildings and not wanting to go out and build brand new schools and things like that. So we got tremendous bang for the buck on that. But
We did,
that's where
yeah.
it started. And
Did you help write that grant to get the $16 million?
I hate to say it, but I actually wrote those grants myself.
wrote the whole
They were
thing
called
yourself?
statements of interest, and Kathy
Right.
knows what they are. And they're a very lengthy document.
Very
and,
And you wrote
And,
pretty much the whole thing yourself?
and I pretty much wrote them.
Wow,
And then,
that's
you know, we were
fantastic.
edited by the school committee, and I mean, we passed it around, and everybody got a chance
It was
to.
a very unique situation where we were so blessed to have the expertise of Pat, and it was just a very unique and stressful time, and for us to get that project completed, and basically we got more than what we had outlined. Every
Oh, we got a
time
whole lot
there
more.
was something that you could add to the project within the cost, it was added, because there was a long, long list of things that needed to be accomplished. So it was just fantastic what he did for this town, and I know I'll always be grateful.
But from there, we went on, and we, you know, I was appointed after that to the Fire DPW Study Committee, and worked through that process, and we got some great projects going out of that, and they formed the Permanent Building Committee in 2007, I think, and so I took on
6
chair
years
for that.
already.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it?
I know,
mean, it's
time
just time
flies.
flies. So we, you know, we've done some good things. All the projects I've been involved with have been brought in on time and on budget. But you know, and I love the town. I mean, I've got my youngest is going to graduate with Sarah this year. So I've got 3 kids. You know, 2 of them are gone and off to either done with college now or in college, and my baby's you know, selecting where, you know, they're going to do the tour on April vacation for the final selection of the schools. So you know, my kids have grown up here now. I grew up here and graduated from Chelmsford High, and it's a great, yeah.
Were you here your whole life, Pat,
No,
or-
we moved here. I was about 10 years old when my
About
parents
10,
moved
yeah.
here.
So you went to a middle school, maybe?
Well,
to-
I went to 5th grade in Byam School at the
At
time. I
Byam,
moved
yeah.
into, my parents bought Red Wing Farm when we
Really?
first moved into
Oh,
town. A lot of
really?
people
You
don't know
lived
that.
in
Yeah.
Red Wing Farm?
Yeah, we did. So we were only there for 2 years because my parents
Oh.
couldn't afford to heat it. You know,
Yeah.
so,
Wow.
but, so, no, 71, we moved into town, and, you know, the town accepted my family and us, and, you know.
And you
it
went
was
to
a great-
Byam first?
I went to
And
Byam
where did you
first,
go
and
after
then
that?
Byam, and then we ended up at McFarland, because at that time it was 1 year, 7th grade. Every 7th grader in town went to McFarland at the time.
Wow.
And then from there, 8th and 9th grade, I went to Parker, this building. And I actually worked here with community teamwork as a teenager.
Oh
you
my
know,
God, that's
you know, during the
hilarious.
summers and things like that. So,
Wow.
and then ended up at the high school. So we graduated in 79. But you know, it's through the years, it's just been a tremendous town to raise the kids and all the activities, and my kids have that same sense of community that I have. So it's something special, and I don't mind giving back. If there's things that we can do to make this an even better place than it already is to live, then, you know, I'm all for it.
That's wonderful, Pat.
So that's why I'm kind of running. I just, you know, I've got some good broad experience working with the town, and I'd like to utilize that and build on that a little bit and get some more good things done.
Nice. And if you get elected, Pat, what are your top priorities this year or next year?
Well, you know, first year in, I guess I'd like to get my feet a little wet, but I think the main priority at this point is really just maintaining the quality of life and the level of services that we currently enjoy. Sorry. So to do that, you know, we've got to do projects on time, on budget. To do that, you know, we have to use free cash in the right way. I'm very happy with the way that was dispersed last year. There was a nice balance between, you know, putting some money towards unfunded liabilities, towards doing a little bit of tax relief, and even some project work. So there was a little bit of spending, a little bit of tax relief. So it was a nice balance on the free cash, and we do that by chasing other revenue streams. We do that by, you know, chasing the MSBA. One of the problems with MSBA is Catherine Craven left, and she's over working with Marty Me, and she was the executive director, and she's working with Marty on his building program.
That is a
So
loss.
that is a loss, because we had, you know, we could pick up the phone and call
Right.
Catherine and say, hey, this is what we're thinking. How does you know, your current rules and regs affect us, and so on. So we have to get back in and get to that level of connection with the current executive director. So I'd like to work on that. You know, energy contracts, solar, you know,
Because
there's a lot of ways to.
I'd like to add a little tangent here, if I could, because of the relationship that you've established by your reputation, you know, in the town of Chelmsford, for being on time, on budget. The state has given us other projects and other grants, like the windows at the high school and the green energies, because we've established this relationship. We have this symbiotic relationship, and we're getting great benefit from that. And so I'd like to keep that consistency going.
And that's exactly what I want to work on, because they do recognize good work at economic cost, economical cost. So, so we need to rebuild a little bit of that relationship, but we need to. It's really a balance between spending in tax relief on this free cash, chasing any opportunities for additional revenues like regionalization when it makes sense.
Yeah.
MSBA, solar power, energy rebates, and things like that. So, and it's just really being astute. So, I don't have any major goals to say that I want to go build something or do anything like that. But I really think it's about maintaining the quality of life and the level of services, because we've had cuts in local aid. We don't know what's going to happen with the state budget yet. But I think with the economy turning around and doing the very efficient things that we know how to do, I think we can position the town for for some good times coming forward in the next few years. At some point our capital projects are going to start to slow down. I mean, we have a new library, new police station, new fire station, new town halls and things like that. So that work's going to decrease. We do have to get back to the schools at some point, because it was only a $31 million project. There's still a lot to do there, but if we play our cards right, we can get a lot of money back from the state. So I think we can start to look forward to a time where maybe we can do some serious thinking on paying off future liabilities, number one, and doing maybe some tax relief. So I think it's all about smart thinking and planning going forward.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much, Pat. If I could just quickly explain how Pat is on 1 week before the election day, and because the supporters of the other candidates might be wondering, just why is it my candidate on the week before? Well, my policy is to be fair to all 5 candidates, which I have been, in the sense that the campaign season is from the day you pull papers until election day. And I thought it would be fair to have each of the candidates on one time and one time only during that period of time. So Matt had been on in January, and then all the others, Janet has been on, Roland's been on, and Bob has been on. Now Pat was scheduled to be on about over a month ago, and unfortunately his mother has been very sick and she passed away. And Pat had to postpone a few of his scheduled appearances because of that. I'm sorry about that, Pat. Everybody is, I'm sure. And it's a terrible thing. You're campaigning, and then you have this very unfortunate family affair and death in the family. So then we had a snowstorm last week, which would have been 2 weeks before the election. We postponed that show. So that's how Pat is here tonight. So as everyone knows, I try to be fair. In fact, I have all 5 candidate signs in my front yard, and the photo was posted on Facebook. It's got a lot of, did you see it, Kathy?
I don't think I saw it.
Oh, it's got a lot of thumbs up, too.
But now I'll look for it.
But yeah, it was, Charlie took that photo, actually.
Yep, a perfect photo.
Because, yeah, right. So anyway, I try to be fair to everybody, which I always am, and so good luck with everything, Pat. We'll talk a little bit more.
And thank you for bearing with me through all of that, Tom. It was.
I mean, it's fine.
Time,
those things happen, and the most important thing is, your family and one's health, and then the politics and the shows after that.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Pat. I'll come back later, a little bit later, but we want to talk a little bit to Al and Kathy and Charlie for a minute. So, Al, what particular topics would you like to talk about on the show tonight? Anything?
Well, one thing I'd just like to talk about, going back to some of the discussion already, I think anybody from the outside, whether it's the state government or business people from outside of Chelmsford, when you look what the town has done during this tough economic period, I mean, 2 town halls, the Department of Public Works, all kinds of school projects, finally the lines going underground in the historic district, the clock. I mean, most people, we're all skimping everywhere to keep everything glued together, because it's not easy. People sometimes get confused when you say we're going to do level services. They expect the money to stay the same. The money goes up because of fixed costs for utilities and so forth. And they think, I thought we were doing, staying even. Well, we're staying even in service, as it says. But I think when anybody, as I say, whether it's business or the state government, looks at what Chelmsford's been able to do during this tough, they have to be impressed.
Yes.
And I think another thing, I know when the school program went through, when the money was cut off,
Yeah.
Later on, that paid, as I understand it, benefits because they were impressed, you know, that a town would take that responsibility at a time, you know, when they was being shut down. Everybody else that was shut down just said, well, that's the end of that.
Yeah,
But we, you know, the town, you know, came through in that occasion when it wasn't easy.
Yes.
So it is a great community, and
Yes,
one other thing I just mentioned, that spirit of, you know, Chelmsford being successful and a good place to live came through at the Hall of Fame banquet on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Everyone that came there, it's a very special occasion because a lot of schools have Hall of Fame events for athletes. We have Hall of Fame events for people on Broadway and scientists and everything else. And to hear the 9 various people, and they all said the same thing. We moved here when we were, whatever, 5, 9, or 10 with my parents because of the schools.
That's right.
And you know, different people came to appreciate what they got out of it at different points. Some just loved it from day one, and you know, some kids struggle more, and then they find their niche, and then they realize, geez, I had 3 English teachers. I'm a journalist now, and I had 3 English teachers that were great. At the time, I didn't like them because they made me work so hard. But anyway, I think that event, just because it just took place, is worthy of mention because it just drives home how so many different kinds of kids are served in the community. You know, we were talking a little bit before the show. I mean, we had finalists in mock trial, finalists in theater. The science team competes well. We've gotten recognized for our outstanding achievement in advanced placement classes.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously, Kathy and I tend to focus on schools because that's where we've been serving our time. But all of that contributes to this thing. Like, this is a good place to be.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
I really like the camaraderie of the town too. I mean, you know, I've only lived here for 19 years or so, and it seems like, you know, I feel like home, and it's unique. I mean, the 4th of July, all the celebrations on the Common, and people are there for you. And like when that tragedy happened with the fire recently, I mean, this town really reacts. They're neighbors.
Yes. Yeah, there was
It's a great thing.
tremendous reaction.
Many communities are not like that. So
No.
I think we should all be proud and happy that
Oh,
we,
yes, I think
we
so.
chose
and
well.
We did.
Yeah.
And in fact, we were selected by Money Magazine as what, the 21st most desirable community, middle-class community in the country, the entire United States. To be 21
Right.
out of thousands and thousands of communities is a wonderful honor. And Charlie was fortunate enough to have grown up here. In fact, your family's been in Chelmsford for about 100 years, right, Charlie?
Probably a little less. But I just wanted to say, yeah, I didn't live here my whole life.
Well, you
I
went to
spent
service,
4
but-
years in
Yeah,
Hawaii.
in a submarine too, part of the time.
It was easy though.
It was easy.
It
You
was very
chose
easy.
Chelmsford over Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
I
now,
don't think we need to say more.
Yeah, we don't need to say any more than that.
Yeah.
I guess it was the family. They didn't want to come to Hawaii.
But
So
it
I
must have
came
been
back
nice
here.
over there, though, in Hawaii. But,
It was great.
But Charlie, you just moved to a new house in Boston Road,
yeah.
a house that you redid. It was an old house. I saw the beautiful remodeling you did on it, which was wonderful. And Charlie does it sometimes too. He either builds new houses or redoes older houses, and does a great job.
Well, it's time to build some houses now because the inventory is so down.
Yeah.
New houses need to be built, and you need to put your old house on the market.
Yeah.
Move somewhere else because the
You
realtors
keep
are
telling me
all
that, but
complaining.
I'm never
You
going
should
to
put
move.
your house on the
I've been
market,
in the
Tom.
same house for about 36 years now. And Charlie said, "Oh, why don't you sell that?
Sell it.
Why should you sell the perfect house, right? With the perfect location. There's only 4 houses on the street. There's all trees in the backyard. Why
It's a
would
swamp,
anybody want to
Tom.
sell that?"
It's a swamp.
See, what a nice guy. I'm never going to chat.
You invited him. You invited him.
I don't know why you want your house so
I
bad.
thought you were one of my best friends,
Tear it
Charlie.
down.
Tell me I live in a swamp?
Yes.
But you know what I do notice? I do notice that some small homes are being either completely, like, it started out like this and now it's being built
Exactly.
upon, so it's a totally different big home. And then I see some other sites where the original small home is, you know, gone and there's a
Farm's
new
gone.
house.
Oh, yeah,
So
that happens.
I think there's going to
Charlie
be a,
looks.
Farm. Farms One, that's happening, right?
Yeah,
Right,
that's
I was
happening
going
a
to say
lot.
that would be a prime location to see a lot
Oh, it
of
happens.
growth.
It happens a lot, and Charlie does that too, as part of his business as a developer. Sometimes buys a house with a small old house or something, and then he could tear down the house and build a new one, or remodel one like you did on
Pat and I got in a bidding war one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yeah,
we did
it was a
couple
while
years
ago, and
Oh,
we're
really?
all friends.
Yeah, yeah.
He did that on Montclair. He redid the house. Charlie did on Montclair Avenue
Well, it was the
last
last
year
one,
or
yeah.
whatever. But Charlie, so you moved onto Precinct 9 in Boston
Right.
Road recently in the past year. So that's why you're running for re-election this
That's
year, because
right.
you had won a 3-year term previously in your previous precinct,
Precinct 2.
Precinct 2. So now you're running, and there's 9 people running in Precinct 9 for the 6 seats.
That's the most people running in any precinct.
Yes, yeah, I
So
know.
I consider that a good thing.
And that's my precinct, but I'll have to decide if I'm going to give you a vote.
You can decide.
Yeah.
After that swamp remark.
But yeah, right, no, that's okay, Charles. Still vote for you. But so, why do you want to be a town meeting rep, Charlie?
Why do I
You know,
wanna
what do
be
you
a
get
town
out of
rep?
it? You know, what's your priorities?
I like to see the town spend money reasonably in a good place. And you know what? I have to admit though, the school takes most of the money, which they should take most of the money. I mean, if it's not the kids, then what do you do?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it has to be for the kids.
Yeah.
So, and Pat's doing a great job
Yeah.
saving money.
Yeah.
And why do I
Yeah.
want to be a town meeting rep? Because of that, because of just putting
Yeah.
the money where it's supposed to be put.
Yes.
But I have to admit, I'm not really happy about the clickers you have at the town meeting.
You're not.
Where all the names come up and they vote yes, you vote no. I'm not real happy about that.
Why not, Charlie? Most
Um,
people are.
If someone doesn't like what you vote, they have your name up there and they call you up and give you a hard time. Not that anybody has,
No.
but I know they would.
But that's what politics, though,
That's
is
what
all about. You
politics does?
stand up for what you believe in,
Right.
and you're accountable for what you do.
True.
And this helps us be accountable for our votes, which I think is kind of important to be accountable. I like that we have a record of how we voted for posterity. What if you ever run for selectman? Won't you want people to know how you voted on all these big issues in
Well, let
town?
me see. I'll probably never run for selectman, so
Okay.
therefore, no. The answer's no.
Speaking of that, how do you think your sister's doing as a selectman?
She goes to a lot of the meetings. She's always out there.
Yeah.
Not that I talk to her a lot, because everything I say she doesn't like.
No,
She actually told me to move out of town one day. So.
because you want to lower taxes, right?
Well,
Should we tell them
it was
about
more
your
than that.
taxes on your undeveloped land at all?
you have a better understanding of this than I do. So yeah, you
oh,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, Charlie has some plots of land that are undeveloped, but the town is charging him as if somebody's coming to buy that land to build on it, like evaluate it $200,000 per lot. And so Charlie has a few of these lots, 2 or 3 or whatever, and it's costing him a lot of money in taxes. And it gives him a tremendous incentive, I think, to build on that. Well, we want to keep green space. Builders would have a tremendous incentive if you keep taxing them as if it's, being built on tomorrow. So I called the town assessor up, Frank Reen, and we had a long conversation about it. Now, Frank says, there's a regulation that you have to value it at what it's worth. But my opinion is, Charlie has a tremendous incentive to sell off that lot or build on it himself, right?
Build on it.
Not to keep it as open space, because he's paying a lot of taxes on those lots every year. So I suggested to Frank that, well, it's a matter of opinion as to how you value that, and you're also giving people like Charlie an incentive to develop on that. But Frank stuck to his position that, no, it's worth $200,000 per lot, and that's what we're going to charge. So it's just a little thing that if the town really wants to keep open space, and Pat, if you become a selectman, you may want to look into this, that it's giving developers or people who own land a big incentive to build. If they're going to tax them at a full rate, I mean, as if it was being built on tomorrow, that's not an incentive to keep open space. And our town keeps talking about, we want to preserve open space. This is not the way to do it. And I think you could value it as just open space at like $10,000 a lot or $20,000 even. I think it's a subjective thing as to what you say the value is. So right now, Frank, and the assessors disagree with me on that, but that's That's okay. But I really want to keep open space, so. But
I guess the
But
way to
then
keep
doesn't
open
it,
space
I
is.
think the space has to be, declared a certain, like farmland.
61 or 61A or 61B, which I chose not to do. But in hindsight, maybe I should have done that, but I didn't want, at the time I didn't want the town to have first refusal.
oh, because they have right of first refusal.
Because that way,
If it's
that
a
would
61.
ultimately, that would preserve forever open space, because the
Oh,
town
yeah,
is
I'm not
having-
saying that.
yeah.
No, Charlie wants to
No,
build
but
it.
if-
ultimately.
No.
Well,
For
I
10
mean, if-
years maybe.
Right, but so
Yeah.
if the town had first refusal on the property and they purchased it, then it is
Oh, yeah,
saved
yeah.
forever, is what I would say,
course.
so.
Well, Kathy, how about, what would you like to talk about today? I know your daughter's been involved in a very important
Well, the
theater project.
Chelmsford High Theater Guild, for the second year in a row, their competition play made it to the state finals, and they did an excellent job. That was just this weekend in Boston, so I spent the weekend in Boston with 50 of my favorite teenagers. And it was really great, and their performance was spectacular. Unfortunately, they were not chosen by the judges as the winning school. However, they're the winners in my eyes.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
They
so, right, they did a great job. They were audience favorites. I mean, they got a standing ovation from their competitors, so that tells you that it was a great show.
That's fantastic.
And they were all very well behaved, and they looked smart and attractive and handsome. And in the hotel, some lady came up to me and said, "Wow, these are very well behaved teenagers." Of course, they were all right in the lobby around us at the time.
What
And,
town was that in? The hotel?
The hotel was in Boston that we
Oh, in
we had to
Boston.
stay over for the event, and
Oh.
this lady said, "And I know teenagers because I'm a guidance counselor at some school." So, I think we should be very proud of our students, because we hear through all these things that they're polite, they're humble, they pick up after themselves, and that is unique in today's day and age. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Because, so that was a great experience, and I should also thank a number of local businesses who helped us support our kids on our trip. Panera Bread was very generous with us. They hosted a fundraiser, and they also donated items when we were the host site. And some local small businesses that were really excellent to us were the Meat House, Amici's, Bianco's Catering. All of these local businesses are very generous to people, and I like that about Chelmsford
That's
as well.
wonderful.
So-
And speaking of the Meat House, if I could ask Pat a question. It came up a few years ago when the Meat House first was coming into Chelmsford, and they requested a beer and wine license. And many meat houses, part of that small chain in New England, have a beer and wine license. The Board of Selectmen of Chelmsford did not allow that. They voted no. It's my understanding that the meat house is struggling to get by, Pat. I don't know if you're aware of that, but
I'm
it's
not
not
aware
going
of
that
that.
great. I
Really?
spoke to somebody who was very close to them and told me that himself. Not that maybe they're still going to be in business for many years, I don't know, but it's too bad that we couldn't give them a beer and wine license, it seems to me, because it would only be a high-end kind of beer and wine and go with the meats that they're selling. It might have been maybe an extra 10% on their net profit, but that next extra 10% is very significant. So what are your thoughts about that, Pat? I mean, maybe, I know you can't say definitively, but.
No, but if I recall all the arguments, there was legitimate arguments on both sides. My feeling on it, based on what I heard back then, and I've not had any real discussions about this as of late, but anytime that you go down that road and you're going to give out a beer and wine license to a different entity, you take the risk of getting on that slippery slope where there's no return. And I think when you have public safety saying, they prefer not to have more, and I understand that claim, but the big thing is from a legal challenge point of view, what are you opening up the town for when you stray? And if we didn't have such long-standing policy and tradition of maintaining licenses like that, I think it might be a little bit different. But where we've had that for as long as I can remember in town, so my only thing is that you know, you could open yourself up to legal challenge where, regardless, I mean, they could be, however they classify a store like that versus a convenience store or a grocery store or things like that. I would not want to see every grocery store and convenience store in town selling beer and wine. I think that would become a burden to public safety and our police officers, and I think it would cost a lot more money to monitor that. So I don't know right here today if there's an answer or some equitable solution to all the different groups, but I understood the argument that, you know, and for me it's, we have enough frivolous lawsuits in town. We don't need any more, you know, lawsuits from different entities saying, well, you gave it to them, you must now give it to me. And you do open yourself up for that kind of situation.
And if we have good attorneys, hopefully we could fight that, because
well, but
they,
litigation costs money, Tom, and I would never
but
be
we
in
can't
favor of.
I think we have to be reasonable. Look at each case on an individual basis. Personally, I think they should have gotten their beer and wine license. You know, it's part of their company tradition in their other locations. I think it would have not hurt all of our other local small businesses. I think a small thing, like say you have a convenience store where there's a gas station in the center, where they have the Dunkin' Donuts and a little convenience store, I think you could say that's not the same as a meat house where they have, you know, a tradition with their company to sell beer and wine. It's high-end product, more gourmet type of things. I think you could find the rationale for it, and with good attorneys, I think we could fight that without costing us too much in court. I would have taken the chance to show that we're a business-friendly community and to help a small business like the Meat House thrive in Chelmsford. But
Sure.
that's what I would have done if I was a selectman at the time. So.
Well, I think, you know, and again, it was, you know, probably during a bad economy, and I'm not sure that, you know, the Board of Selectmen may have wanted to go out and, you know, obtain the kind of legal advice that they might have had to get and to put forth to really protect themselves going forward, because I do believe that it's kind of a slippery slope. So, you know, that's not to say that some language couldn't be crafted someday that you know, could, or things change, but
I would just kind of add to that tangent. It's a great place. I was there today, and I bought some great steak tips.
Oh,
that I'm
great!
gonna
That's
enjoy.
I've been there about every weekend
That's
myself.
So I would say we should all frequent it because
Yes, let's all
they're generous
frequent
to
the
their
Meat House.
community.
They are.
There's your
go
next
so
coffee, Tom.
Yeah,
You know.
They do. They come so much
they're
to.
right. It's a great place, but I do think on the Meat House, if you have a business plan and this is your model that you have the beer and wine, then maybe it was an oversight on their part if they didn't know Chelmsford was this conservative and they had this type of laws. So it was, you know, those type of communications, that's kind of difficult. But hey, if I would have bought a bottle of wine today when I was in there if I was there. So.
And the guy is nice, but we have so many. Sorry to get off on a tangent a little bit there, but I think it was worthwhile because many people in town still talk about that particular issue. But a big issue we have in town is the new fire station. Not an issue anymore. It's been approved, it's been designed, and they're starting the construction this year, I'm sure. We do have some drawings later, but Pat, maybe if you could start talking about it. We're going to show the drawings up on the screen. I think Vilu has 3 of them that you sent us.
Yep.
And maybe the first one it will be a front view, but maybe if you could talk a little about the new fire station, when it's going to be built, you know, and all of
Yeah,
how
actually,
it
I just came from a meeting this afternoon. I give my Tuesdays to the town of Chelmsford, so that's when we hold all our project meetings on DPW and fire station and so on.
And we do have the front view.
So we just we met today, and what we decided to do based on recommendations from the planning board is we are going to break a site work package away from the overall general construction. So what that'll enable us to do is we'll put a separate bid out. So
Thank you, Vilu. Maybe you could come back to Pat. Oh, thank you. And there's a second view of the front of the town office along with the fire station on the right. And maybe, Vilu, if you could show the third back view while we're here. And then that's the rear view of the new fire station and the town offices, along with the new parking area in the back. Most of the town employees will be asked to park in the back there. Thank you, Vilu.
Right. So we're going to put out an early site work package. That'll allow us to get all the parking lot in the back, all the curbing, all the parking spaces established, and all the drainage in place so that, you know, we're good to the environment in the meantime. But, you know, when we take on a project like this, you know, we need swing space and so on. So we'll keep enough parking up front for the day traffic coming in, for people coming in to pay their taxes or going to the Board of Health and those types of things. But the employees will have to start parking out down back. So we'll have a site work contractor come in and establish the parking area and do some of the drainage work. That'll probably be out to bid early May. We expect to get bids in towards the end of May and start actually site work probably sometime in June, late June. During that time, we'll be finalizing the building plans. We'll have that queued up, ready to go out to bid while we're doing the site work, such that that contract gets awarded immediately upon completion of the site work, and then we'll have a general contractor come in that we hope to have on board somewhere around July. And then we're targeting a date of August 2014 for completion.
Grand opening?
Yep. Yeah. So everything's come together finally on the plan. We think it's a very economical plan for the town. We took advantage of a lot of opportunity when sewer and engineering and all the different groups were moving out down to the Alpha Road facility. We thought that we could cut back on new construction because that's where your real cost is. So we're taking part of the lower level where some of those groups are now, and we'll put the administrative offices for the fire department in there, fire prevention, the chief's offices, and so on. So, so I think it's going to look. I think it's going to look great, contrary to one of the other candidates that calls it ugly. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a building that the town will be proud of. If you look at the different drawings, it's very much in scale. What we heard a lot originally from the Board of Selectmen, Pat. You know, Pat was very. Pat Wojtas was very adamant that we let the town office building, the 1916 or 1914 high school building that we have, that remained prominent. And so we didn't want to go crazy trying to put all kinds of you know, cornice and everything else on the building. We wanted the scale to be a little bit less than the town offices, but we'll have some nice corbelling, and it's hard in a drawing like that. And I think what people, you know, for people to visualize, I mean, I do this every day, so I can look at things and say, okay, that grade's going to work out here, and I can get a picture in my mind's eye, but some people can't do that. And I think when you're looking at elevations and the drawings that we just showed, we did so that we could enhance what people could understand by looking at it, because we were just showing elevations before, and you can't see that this part of the building's back here and this part's up in front, and so with those kinds of renderings, you can kind of get a better idea.
Yes.
So right now everything's going along good. It's we think it's going to be a great project. You think it will be absolutely a project that the town will be proud of. We finally got something done after all these years. We didn't take any open space to do it. We got the cost down. We preserved the girls' softball fields where Kathy and I probably met.
That's true too.
You know, right? We're proud of the project.
Right.
We really are.
Any other comments about the fire station?
Is there going to be a model someplace around town for people to go look at the model?
We
No?
can't afford models.
Can't afford one.
I would love to have a model someplace around, but I mean, something like
They're
that is
expensive,
several $1,000s to put
Yes.
together.
Really?
I mean,
Oh,
even
yes,
even
yeah.
the Kathy, even the renderings that, and the planning board had asked for them, but I think people were having a very difficult time trying to understand the.
Well, it's a weird location with the hill right behind.
It is, and it's very hard
Yeah.
to see how it's gonna fit on that site. But we're actually cutting where the bays are right down to the road level. So if you drive by Town Hall, you'll notice that the parking lot comes up from street level 4 or 5 feet, something
At
like that.
least.
Yeah, so we're gonna be bringing that where the bays are down to street level. So that big hill isn't gonna be the big hill that it is today.
Yeah.
And those are the types of things that, you know, people don't see that, you know, as we're developing plans, because it's so hard to convey. So,
Great,
but
thanks,
we think it's a good project.
Thanks. Any other comments
Yeah,
about the?
I'd just like to comment. Chelmsford has a unique situation that we have 2 major highways and a railroad that go through town.
Yes.
And I find it you know, that it's really important to have not only a nice building, but a good fire department, because not only do we have house calls for, you know, emergencies and fires and all of that sort of thing, we have the potential, because, and I'm very much aware of this because as principal of the high school, all that stuff was near the school. There's potential for real serious situations. And of all times, public safety should be, you know, one of the top priorities for a community, particularly one with our geographic situation. So I think that we've finally upgraded and made our facilities so that we can get trucks in without cutting pieces out of the building and things like that. I think it's great, and I think it's overdue, and I think particularly in the time that we live in, it's really important.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Thank you.
So
Charlie, you have any-
what happens to the old fire station, Pat?
All right, so here's some things we've tossed around, and I don't know at the end of the day. Whatever would be done would be brought to town meeting and there'd be some decision made. But I know that one of the proposals we talked about last year was tear the existing building down when they're moved in, and possibly bring the Dutton House over from the library parcel, because the library has been slated to put in a storage building on that property, and we tried fitting that in. We worked with the library to try to fit that storage building in to give them adequate space, but with the Dutton House there, it really doesn't lend itself to fitting the building in correctly. So we could fix a lot of problems if we could move the Dutton House over to that site. We think it would be a wonderful addition to the ambiance of the common.
Yes.
We also, at the time, talked with David Hedison from Chelsea Housing Authority, and he thought that maybe he could take that building with the land because of the minimal amount of employees that he has and so on, that he could take that, rehab the entire structure, and put his administrative offices over there. That would then create 6 or 8 more units of housing in where he is over at McFarland Manor now. He'd have the new building, and then the site at the library would be vacated, and we could go ahead and get the storage building in for the library. So that was one proposal we talked about last year. We're not predisposed to anything. I'm sure it's going to come back probably fall of 2014, where people finally say, okay, they're gone, what are we going to do now? I think there's a lot of good opportunities there. It's only a 10,000 foot lot, so you know, it's hard to think that you might put retail or a restaurant or something in there, because there's just not a lot of parking with the structure the way it is.
I talked to a few people that want to fit it into a restaurant, because they figured the parking would be the building in the back. The restaurant would be open in the evening, and in the evening the our offices would be vacant, and you could park there.
I don't know, but I mean, I'd love to see the Dutton House go over there. I really do think that it would complete that picture of driving through town and when all the utilities are depressed, and to see a nice Victorian right on the common there with all the other beautiful structures around there. Now the town hall.
There's a rendering of it already.
Well, we did. That was part of when we were collaborating with David. So David's architect went out and actually had that done up. But you know, with a new town hall and the clock tower and putting a nice.
It's a nice old building. Once it's refurbished, it'll be beautiful.
Absolutely.
It'll fit in beautifully there. Speaking of the wires, that's going to be done soon? Is it the bearing of the wires in the center? I know we had a delay because of Verizon.
Right. I'm hearing that I don't know time frames. I haven't been able to keep up on it that much, but you know, we suffered through doing the town halls last year with that whole depression. I mean, we showed up one day and there's all these big concrete vaults on the side lawn of town hall, and we're like, where did these come from? And we had no idea they were going in. And we said, what's going on top of these concrete vaults? And they said, oh, these big green boxes. And we're like, no, they're not.
Right.
So we actually went. I mean, it took I jest when I say it took an act of Congress, but it felt like it took an act of Congress because we had to go meet with these people for months on end, week by week, saying, please, can we move these vaults? We ended up moving them to the back of the building, out of the way, in a nice area. But we were going to take up the whole side lawn with these big green transformers.
That would have been terrible.
And so, you know, these are the things you fight along the way.
All my photos.
You know, so again, you know, it's all about, you know, beautifying the area. So, but I believe it's supposed to start soon, and all the underground work is done.
Hopefully within a few months. Pat, you're so busy with the Permanent Building Committee, and then if you're a selectman, What about the liaison assignments that selectmen get to go to all these committees in town? You each have a bunch of liaison assignments. Are you aware of that, Pat?
Oh,
You're willing
absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
attend those
Sure.
meetings?
Sure.
Because you're going to be out a lot. You know that, right?
Oh, I
Almost
know,
every
I know.
night,
Yep,
probably.
yep.
If you do, because I don't know what liaison assignments you'll get, but it's very busy with all those liaison
no doubt,
assignments.
and you know,
Yeah.
all the current selectmen are very busy as well, and
Yeah.
I
But
wouldn't
you
take on the
seem with the
job.
Permanent Building Committee, your own company, it's really quite a busy schedule
sure,
you have
it's a-
there.
it's a
But
tug
you're
of that,
aware
but
of it,
it is
though.
for
You're
many
fully
people in
aware,
town, and
you're
I'm
willing
aware
to
of it.
do all that.
No, I'm
to-
dedicated, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it on. You know, I'm the type of person, and those that know me, if I say I'm going to go do something, I'm going to give it 120%, and so I'm not afraid of hard work, and yeah, it'll be busy, and you know,
And-
I'll see how it goes, and if in 2014 when we wrap up the fire station, if you know, if
Yeah.
I need a rest, then I'll come
Yeah,
off the
maybe you
permanent
could come
building
off the
committee,
permanent
and,
building
and
and somebody else could
sure, sure.
take that position.
But I get help also because Dave, I have a co-chairman, and we've done that
Yeah.
on purpose anyway, just because there's so many times that you end up getting spread out onto different things and having to be in different neighborhoods and meetings. I mean, David was handling getting the park, working with the neighbors on the parking lot next to the fire station in North Chelmsford last year, while I was taking care of the center. I mean, so we
Yeah.
kind of divvy things up because
Oh,
there's so much
good.
going on.
Yeah, there's so much. Have you ever run for political office before, Pat?
I have never run for political
Boy,
office
so the
before.
first time
First
you're running
time,
for
yeah,
selectman,
yeah.
and I think your campaign's going very well from what I could see. It's really getting a lot of signs out there, a lot of sign holding on Saturday mornings in the center at Vinyl Square, a lot of emails, postcards. You're really putting a lot into it, I know, Pat, right?
Well,
Which is
I've
amazing.
got a great team.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming to me for my first campaign to see the efforts put forth and the work that gets done that I don't even know is getting done. It's just, it's so overwhelming and humbling. I can't explain it. But
fact-
you know, we're cautiously optimistic, and
Right.
yeah,
And
we're
it's a
gonna
week
work
from
hard.
today. The
Yeah.
polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And hopefully everybody who's watching this show will get out and vote. It's a very important election this year. It's going to determine our future pretty much for the next 3 years, a very big part of it, with 2 of the 5 selectmen elected this year.
That's right.
And I feel it's our civic responsibility, not just to vote, but to be informed before you vote.
Yeah.
Read as much literature as you can, read the letters to the editors, attend as many events as you can, even call the candidates.
Yeah.
In fact, you're on Facebook, right? You have probably Pat Maloney for Selectmen.
Yes, I was never on
site
Facebook until we.
recently, yeah, I was trying to get,
until
I'm glad
recently.
you joined.
Tom had asked me for you, when are you going to get on Facebook?
I'm
And
very
so
glad.
I pulled papers and I joined Facebook. So,
Which is great. And
yeah.
do you have a website, Pat?
We
for
have
your campaign?
Pat Maloney, MaloneyForSelectmen.com.
MaloneyForSelectmen.com.
is the website. There's a
And
bunch
if
of new
anybody has a-
information, all the debates and all the
Right.
different appearances are out there. So,
If anybody has a question, could they give you a phone call, or is that?
sure, you can send me an email at pat@maloneyforselectmen.com, or you can call my office at 978-458-6100.
Great, thank you.
And nice, easy number to
Your
remember.
office right
so.
here in Chelmsford.
Yep, yep.
Just quickly, Pat, oh, I'm sorry, will
No,
you
go ahead.
give out
No, go
another
ahead.
number?
No.
Just quickly, on the Chelmsford Country Club building, what's the latest status on that? We only have a minute or two.
Okay,
left.
so here I met actually when the show got canceled last week, I was actually able to go over, and
Oh.
we did have the meeting, so I made the meeting that night. Because the debate got canceled too, I
Yeah,
guess, so.
yes.
Anyway,
Pat, it's just about anything.
okay.
But very quickly, what's it going to?
We're going to try to put back
attachment?
exactly what was there, and maybe a little piece on the front for a pro shop, if we can keep it in the right budget. We're out for budgeting right now, and we'll have something ready for town meeting.
For April meeting, town meeting, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Al Thomas, for being here again.
It goes so fast.
It
It's
does,
very
I know,
enjoyable.
thank
I
you.
know.
Thank you very much, Kathy
you.
Duffett, for being here. Thank you very much, Pat Maloney.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the campaign. I'll
Appreciate it.
see you, I'm sure, during the next week.
Yes, you will.
I usually go out and take photos on Saturday mornings and things like that, and go to all the parties. Thank you and good luck, Pat. Thank you very
Welcome,
much, Charles
Tom. It was
Wojtas.
fun.
Is it Charles or Charlie?
Charlie.
Charlie, right. And thank you very much, this wonderful camera crew, George and Azora and Larry, and our director, Vilu Tari. If you have any comments about the show, please send me an email at tcristiano@comcast.net. Thanks for watching. Ciao.